Today is October 9th, 2020, and you're listening to episode 37 of Manchild and the Old Guy. He's the man-child, a bearded 20-something, and I'm the old guy, a cynical Gen Xer. This is your intergenerational podcast where we discuss pop culture, faith, politics, and whatever we find interesting. No longer broadcasting from the basement because we moved, but we're still doing it with the permission of Mom. I'm the old guy.
And I'm the man-child.
Welcome to our stream of consciousness.
Welcome.
Well, this is our first episode. Our last time we recorded an episode was May 3rd.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah, but in that time, we were in the middle of COVID, and COVID's only gotten more crazy.
Worse. Yeah.
More crazy COVID. And then the other thing is that I moved from Iowa to Minnesota, and you moved across town there in Iowa.
Yep.
And so I've taken on a different job with the organization I work for, which actually was a lot more time consuming than my last job. So we've had some difficulty getting to this point, but we are trying something new because we've tried before. There's the lost episode that I still never posted.
That was so bad.
It is so roached.
Were we using Skype?
We were using Skype, and I was trying to split the signal off my phone.
It was not working. And then one of the issues we were having was every time I spoke, it would cut you out.
Yeah,
I couldn't hear you, so I didn't know you were trying to talk, and then it would do the same thing for you and me. And it was
brutal.
So bad.
And that was right before we were trying it because we wanted to do Intercontinental when I was in London.
Yeah, in the UK.
So
then that didn't work.
And actually, this is I think this is the day I was preparing to fly out last year to go to London. But anyway, that didn't work out. But I did do a lot of recording while I was over there, which I have to finish up altering the recording. You know, I got to adjust. I did it with my digital recorder. So I just have to adjust all the levels before it becomes, before I can compress it and put it out on the internet. But we're here now. So in the meantime, you've been married now roughly 6 months.
Yep.
So how's it feeling?
Pretty good. As my wife has said, and I say to everyone that asks me how's it going, COVID has aged our marriage in dog years. So because like for the first 4 months we were laid off like right after we got married, and we were just at home with each other all day, and boy, you get to know someone real well 24/7 for 4 months. So
yeah,
never been better. So I mean, we're doing good. She's starting to work. She's gonna start working over at the store with me. So she's gonna be doing an evening position over there. She's in school now for American Sign Language. So she's gonna become an interpreter with that, and I'm just over here paying the bills, being the cool dude.
Being the good provider as your father taught you.
Yeah, that's me. I do muy good.
Yeah. So this is our first try over Zoom. We think we got all the technology wired up correctly. So we're recording this so that before I was taking the podcast every once in a while and running it through a video processor I have and putting some slides to it so that there's video with it. You've tried over the time to every once in a while try to do a video with your little video.
Yeah, and then sync up the audio.
Yeah,
I don't know why it just never works.
Yeah. So we're trying this over Zoom. So we're recording both the video and audio content so that we can have a video podcast recorded at the same time as the audio. So we'll see. So this episode 37 is a short episode because it's a test, and we're trying to make sure it works. So if you're listening to this, we want you to give our feedback. You can go on to the Anchor website. Of course, feedback there.
Go to bloodpumpmedia.com.
Go to bloodpumpmedia.com. Give us some feedback there. Of course, our Facebook page, MCOG, on Facebook. You can look that up and leave some feedback there. Let us know how it's sounding. If you watch it on YouTube, let us know how it looks. I'm in a room that Mom has allowed me to utilize. It's kind of small, and I'm still unpacking stuff in it, so it looks a little mess behind me. I guess
I got a big window behind me, and that's what I got.
Big window. But I've watched the sunset as we were preparing to record.
Yeah, that was nice, wasn't it?
I can't see the tree blowing in the breeze anymore.
No, you just see a giant reflection.
Yeah, I live across the street from an airport now, so occasionally there may be a helicopter, or it's a municipal airport. So there's a group of guys over there that have like 3 or 4 helicopters that take them out all the time. I know there's definitely 3. I think there's a 4th one. There's a black one, a red one, and then one that's mostly white with some red and blue accents on it. But I think that there's a yellow one as well. So, but I might have that confused with another airport. But occasionally you'll hear jet sounds behind me because I have a pretty sensitive microphone, so it picks those things up.
I have a 10-week-old puppy that whines, so you might hear that.
Which isn't unheard of in our podcast, to have a dog in the background doing something. I don't remember what episode that was, but
you like stepped on the dog.
I was just getting her out of the way.
You stepped on Bella. She was. You just looked at. You just stomped on her, man.
Yeah. Oh, we can see Girl Child in the background in the reflection in the.
Hello, honey.
She's walking around with some tray or something.
She has her textbooks. Looks like she's going to go finish an exam in the bedroom, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to a couple of things, unless there's something else you wanted to say before we got going here.
I'm an undecided voter.
You're undecided. Now, hold on. I'm going to stop screen sharing now. How do I close this? I don't know. Well, I'll share this anyway. You've always been a Trump supporter.
Yeah, in general. I'm being
hardcore Trump supporter. Like, you've had bumper sticker and everything.
Yeah, no, I still have a big sticker in a bag over here. I still support him for the most part, but I've just been getting sick over the COVID time, the amount of times that he's just basically demeaned the situation. Mm-hmm. Where, look, I don't know what to believe. I personally think there's probably not as big of an issue as some people make it out to be. And I know the numbers are exaggerated, so it's not like 210,000 people have died from COVID exactly, but there sure are a heck of a lot of people that have died. And I feel pretty definitive that more people now have died of COVID than the flu, even in the H1N1. I think I'm just getting sick of his rhetoric. I'm getting sick of him just like, I get it, dude. There's white supremacists. There's idiots doing stuff. Just freaking do what people want and say, hey, no, that's not good. Don't do it. No. You say, stand back and stand by at the presidential debate, and like, wow.
Yeah,
you're just giving into every little thing that makes people hate you.
That's more of his diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he meant to say stand back and stand down or something, but he said stand by. Wonky. But now you have the Proud Boys, who were a great organization, and I almost went went to join them because Gavin McGuinness founded them, and I'm a huge fan of Gavin McGuinness. But then they all started becoming this ultra right wing, like super political thing, and it was just a guys group to sit around and punch each other naming cereal boxes, But with Trump, the fact that during COVID, I don't know, I'm just getting kind of sick of some things where it's like I still have never gotten a stimulus check, so
Oh yeah.
Nope, never got a stimulus check. I'm getting sick of that. There's not like there's a lot of people that have talked about doing a rent and mortgage moratorium, at least for a month or 6 months or something like that, so that in that time no one has to pay a mortgage, no one has to pay rent. It's fair for everyone at that point. Everyone just kind of we just kind of write it off just so people aren't going bankrupt. Then he doesn't do anything, and then here I'm just gonna get into it. This is what makes me so ticked off, is that why have we give billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars into these huge multinational companies? Because they were going to go bankrupt, or they wouldn't survive. Bro, if you are $1 billion company and you don't have enough money to survive 1 week of bad business, then it should not be the taxpayers' fault for that. If we are giving out billions of dollars to corporations like Amazon who don't pay taxes to survive. And yet
Well,
you tell us that there's not enough money in the system to do another stimulus check or build infrastructure or anything else in the system. If you're going to say that, that the stuff is just not feasible, it's the same thing. Like, I'm not for universal health care. I have my own plan for that kind of stuff. But it would be expensive. But heck, if you look at it, if we didn't bail out businesses every freaking 3 years, you could pay for it. You could pay for free college if you just never bailed out businesses or big banks. And I get it. There's a benefit to those situations. But at the same time, like during COVID, at least I'm just like, I'm getting sick of it because you just see like all this stuff happening and there's all these people just suffering around you. I know people that are still unemployed and they're living on like what's left of unemployment.
mhm.
So it's a sucky
I,
situation and I don't think he's making it any better.
well, let me just qualify a few things you said. Trump. No, I'm not a Trump supporter. You've always known that. I didn't vote for him last time. I won't be voting for him this time. I'm a libertarian
Joe Jorgensen.
general. So yeah, Joe Jorgensen looks like who's going to be getting my vote. Um, but the Trump was trying to get another stimulus package passed. Pelosi was holding it up. Basically, it's her prerogative to do that. It's an election year. She didn't want Trump to look good. And so she knows if another stimulus package gets passed before the election, it's going to help Trump in the polls. And she doesn't want that to happen. Now, everybody, I hear this mantra all the time: Amazon doesn't pay taxes, which in general is true. They do pay taxes, but not a lot in general on the bottom line. However, that's because they deduct so much in research and development. So all the products that everybody likes and the new structures for getting products to them faster all comes out of their research and development budget. And so if they're not paying taxes, they're reinvesting that into the company to
Oh, no, dude, that's such
employ
bull
more
crap.
people.
I'm not buying into it. No. They did that in Seattle where they're like the city gave them like $20 million tax decut. And that's the same issue happened with Trump when from the 80s where he was building his stuff. They gave him such a good tax credit that it made him a negative tax rate for
Mhm.
20 years. That's why he hasn't paid anything, which makes sense. And I'm all for that. But for a multi-billion-dollar company, and then for people like this where it's just they at any whim, at Amazon they'd fire you if you went to go pee. Like there are no there are no like rights at that job. You have to go to the bathroom, suck it up. They were refusing all these benefits. Those are companies that we should be bailing them out. They suck. Okay, they're not good for workers. Then don't help them. All right, no company should have like the total like power to just say, well, I'm going to move to the state and the city and yeah, I'll give you 10,000 jobs, but I'm not going to pay any taxes and I'm not going to actually treat these workers right. They'll probably be more satisfied working at a gas station than working at Amazon. It's just the amount of stuff that goes on. And I get it. Yes, I know that they pay taxes to some extent. I know Trump has paid taxes more than $750. But
Well, yeah, if you actually read the New York Times article all the way through, he's actually paid millions of dollars.
yeah, but it's the grand scheme of this is just saying that like during this time where the government tells us, and it's not just Trump, but it's just the government says it is not feasible for us to take care of you or to offer you this benefit or for college or that blah 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 blah, whatever it may be. It's not feasible. The financing just isn't there. And then they hand a blank check to a business over here because, well, we don't want you to fail because it's too much of a hassle to try and find another one that'll play dirty with us.
Well,
Like Wells Fargo and stuff like that.
Trump's doing the same thing Obama did in 2009. He's given money out to the Democrat Party cronies back in 2009. Trump's doing it with all of his friends. It doesn't matter who. This is why I'm a libertarian, is because it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican in government. Both of the two major parties do not represent the little guy anymore, don't represent the American people in general, and screw us all over constantly.
Yeah.
Between their regulations, taxes, even the whole kit and caboodle with COVID here. Like you're saying, nobody knows the truth. My personal belief is November 4th, the hysteria is all gone because the election's over. COVID's not going anywhere anytime soon, but the hysteria around it is all of a sudden gone on November 4th because the election's done, no matter who wins. Maybe it ramps up or goes down depending on if Trump wins or not. But the reality is there's no more election for 2 years. So what is there to make us hysterical anymore? I don't know, but they've ramped up a huge percentage of the population, like a fire, just fanning the flames and pouring gas on that fire, and um, people are just bonkers, and people are going nuts. The suicide rates are all up. Uh, we'll talk about the story in a little bit with what's his buckets is doing, Blasio's doing in New York City. People are going to start revolting soon if things don't change.
Yeah.
And part of that revolt might happen at the ballot box. I don't know, but there's so much hinkiness around this election. Who knows? And who knows if even in the next week after the election, we'll even know who's officially president.
Yeah. Tell you what, going back those elections where when people were fighting about Bernie and Trump or whatever, I'm like, that was a better election than this. Like I mean, I almost would much rather have Bernie running up there than
well, at least it'd be a better
Biden.
debate.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, I was so embarrassed to be an American watching that debate. That was so bad. Trump was making points.
It's the epitome of the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, and the mainstream media. Well, Fox can say all they want; they're not mainstream, but they are. So you got the three things that communicate to the most people in the United States, and they're all broken. The Republicans are broken, the Democrats are broken, and the mainstream media is broken. So that's what you get. You throw three broken people in the sandbox, and you get a stupid debate.
Well, your son don't smart. Don't use the word smart with me. Like, don't ever say the word smart with me. If you did it with 1 million, 2 billion, 2.1 gigawatts of people have died from COVID. It's just the dumbest things going.
Well, the one part that I could not believe Biden said was he called Donald Trump a clown. Now, I've not always liked the president of the United States, and I again didn't vote for Trump. Won't vote for him because he's got aspect of his character that I just don't appreciate as an American president. But I'm never going to call the guy a clown, just like I've never called the guy a clown who maybe my boss and I don't like or something like that. I've always respected the position. I didn't always like what Obama was doing, but I never called him a clown, and I certainly wouldn't have done it to his face in a live debate.
Yeah.
You respect the position and the person holding it, and so Trump definitely doesn't do that, and that's part of the reason I'm not ever going to vote for the guy. But I do, in general, lean more right, but I can't vote for Trump. But I really, all the people who have said Biden is this above board person, that statement right there just proved that that's all a facade and it's all fake. So
did he? Yeah, I mean, and during that debate, Trump had made so many good points, but because of the idiot nature of how he speaks, he couldn't actually utter a sentence that made any coherent sense. But he's right. Biden has been in office for 47 years, and you're telling me that when he was the second most powerful man in the world, or at least in the United States, that he couldn't stop or fix the issues we're having here today, or any of this kind of stuff. And then the other thing is, I don't know how anyone can vote for the guy because he's demonized everyone who's demonized everyone. He's demonized all the Bernie supporters that just want like a better life. He said, well, I'm no socialist and you guys are all going to hell. He said that kind of stuff to him. Then he said Republicans are idiots. Conservatives aren't going to go anywhere. And then, he's a centrist dad, a millennial socialist.
What did he say to the black folks? Like, if you don't vote for me, you're not really black.
Yeah, you ain't black. I'm like, bro,
something like
stop.
that. And
Just
then I know he said something else derogatory about Hispanics as well. And so the guy, well, and then his running mate has in all the debates has chastised him as being all those things
racist.
we just are racist. That, yeah, the
But what if I said, what if I
1994.
said all the way from the beginning of the show, since they announced everything, what if I said Kamala Harris is only in this so that they can say former presidential candidate, former vice presidential candidate, former senator? That's all she is in this race for. She is a horrible politician. She's a horrible cop.
She's a
She's a
horrible
horrific
person.
person. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's across the board. But Biden,
She is not a nice person.
no, she's a jerk. And they bring her in. Like, he backed himself in the corner. If he honestly, right now, you want to know what had gotten him elected, if he had Bernie or like Yang as his,
Oh yeah.
he probably
You
would
know,
get elected right now.
we've talked on the show before that Andrew Yang, even though he's very far left from me politically, you can still hear it.
Okay, I was trying.
You that some of his policies I can get on board with, and his thoughts behind them. So yeah, I don't know. You asked me a couple of weeks ago, what do I think about the election, and I said it's a toss up. And what I really is I do my podcast, listening, news media, and all the things I read. What I really see happening is Biden is going for the popular vote and Trump's going for the electoral college. And so we're going to have the same election we did. I turned all of my notifications off. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Anyway, so I really think that we're going to have the same election again, that there's a high probability that Trump is going to win the electoral college. But because of the big cities like New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Biden's going to win the popular vote, and we'll have that conundrum again. And then we'll have a bunch of people saying, get rid of electoral college, which is the dumbest thing ever. But,
Well, there's Andrew Yang proposed doing the ranked choice voting, which I really understood at one point, then I didn't look into it, and then I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's like where like you don't vote for like one specific candidate, you vote for like your top 3 candidates in a specific order, like this one, then this one, and everyone does that nationwide. And there's like ranked choice for how things will function, and then the electoral college goes for states and everything. So it's not like so it
you
wouldn't
can't
be,
take the electoral college out of it, because even
well,
that,
it's not removing electoral college, but it's a matter of allowing it to be a little more fair. So like right now, there is no constitutional requirement that winner takes all. So if half of a state is blue, then half of it's red, but there's like one more red than blue, well, it goes all blue. There's no constitutional thing for that. That's just a state issue, but the federal government can't tell the state what to do in that. But
but
in
several states,
48 states, that's the way it is.
yeah, there's several states that, like Nebraska's one. There's
Yeah.
3 different districts that the electoral college work functions in, and if in that district it goes blue or red, then the elector from that district votes that way. So yeah, I mean, all the electoral college votes go in one way. Certainly is a state's choice and its tradition. If all the states bought into splitting their electoral college votes, then yep, then you're basically doing it by popular vote anyway. But people need to understand.
It would be better if it wasn't the gerrymandering where everyone that gets elected can suddenly now like, I'm going to redraw my district so they can just pick the people that voted for me.
That's part of the process. I mean, that's our political system, and whoever owns the house gets to do the gerrymandering.
They need to outlaw it. That's what they need to do.
In lieu of what?
Just not have it. Just like we agree, like this is the district now, or this is what it looks like. That's what it looks like. You don't just get to redraw it every time just based off of who supported you.
Well, I can understand what you're saying, but populations shift and change, and you got to redistrict. And
Yeah, I mean, you
maybe it's something
can.
you do it every 10 years with the census or something like that.
There you go. There you go. You change it every 10 years to the census. You don't change it every freaking 2 years when someone gets elected.
Yeah, but it is part of our political system, and it always has been. And yeah, but really want people to understand, if you get rid of the electoral college, you're going to get whatever president Houston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, and New York City wants you to have.
Yeah.
There's no reason. There's so many people that live along the coast, that all of us that live in the Midwest and stuff, the city of Chicago has more people in it than North and South Dakota combined. So why would a candidate ever go to South Dakota and worry about rural farm districts anymore? They wouldn't. They would
It's
only
flyover country.
Yeah, they would only be they would all why anywhere in the Midwest would you go anywhere but maybe like Milwaukee, maybe Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago. Out of that, there's no place else to go in the Midwest. So you just hit all these big cities where half the population of the United States lives, and if you get a majority of them voting for you, election's over, and you don't have to travel to every little state. You don't have to go up to Idaho or Montana or any of that. So the reason people end up in Council Bluffs, Iowa, is because of the Electoral College. The reason that somebody shows up in Moline, Illinois, is because of the Electoral College. The reason any candidate shows up in some little podunk town in the Midwest, like here, up in the Iron Range, because I live in Minnesota now. The Iron Range is more north in Minnesota, and up in St. Louis County, where there's Duluth and stuff, and Brainerd. Who was up there? Trump's been up there. Biden's been up there to Duluth. They've all had meetings up there in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, because those votes count right now up there in northern Minnesota.
Right.
Get rid of the Electoral College. The only place they're going to Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
But
That's
every
it.
single vote would count in the popular vote.
Well, whatever, but your state doesn't matter anymore. And I've always been a proponent of getting rid of the amendment that allows the popular vote for senators. I've always felt that needs to go back. It used to be the state legislatures picked the senators for the states, for the in the Senate, and we need to go back to that, because as soon as the popular vote was for the senators, they stopped doing what the states needed and started voting on stuff that would get them reelected because of the popular vote. If the state senators, or if the state senators and the state representatives outside Nebraska, which has a unicameral, if they would be selecting the senator from their state, or the two senators from their state, you would have a Senate that is always looking out for states' rights. And that is not the case anymore. So
I mean, I agree to some extent, but you have other things where at some point it's the drain the swamp kind of crap, right? You're going to get the point where, no matter if you agree with AOC or not, Miss Cortez, like, came up from the Bronx. She got elected because, she believes in a very specific thing, which people in her area believe. And whether or not you agree with her or not, she is doing what any good American should do. She is running what she believes on, and a bunch of people believe it. So they elected her to fight for what they believe in. Great. Awesome. Always fight for you guys to have that right. But if you do the just, select them, then she'll be like, well, he's a pretty big pacifist. He's not going to do it. He's a rhino. Just let him go in. So I think to some extent, yeah, I mean, they could go in and actually fight for state rights, but at the same time, it could just be a really long process of making sure that nothing ever changes, just like letting people be in Congress for freaking 47
well,
years.
I've always been a proponent of term limits.
Yeah.
So I usually don't vote for the incumbent, no matter what party they're in, because, and I'll vote third party. And I encourage people to vote third party. I know a lot of folks say if you vote third party, your votes doesn't count, blah, blah, blah. But if we get a viable third party going in the United States, the other two parties are going to have to make changes. They're going to have to take notice. You're going to have to build coalitions and stuff. And I know people don't want that in our House and Senate, but the only way to solve true problems in our country right now is to get rid of all the Republicans and all the Democrats, because they're all just in it to get reelected. They're not in it for the people anymore. And people like Joe Biden are a perfect example. He talks about his poor upbringing in where was that, Scranton or
Scranton.
yeah, whatever. And now he's a multimillionaire. Yeah, he's wrote books and whatever, but he's gotten rich on the backs of the people by being a public servant, and that is never the way the system was designed to be. So I don't like that. And I've seen it over and over again. People are in there just for a few years. All of a sudden they're multimillionaires. And it's because they're getting rich on the backs of the people. And it's got to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let's get into some, this was supposed to be just a short test. And here
Yeah, I
we go.
know.
We got
I
to,
know.
yeah,
We haven't
but
talked it a bit, so it's it's
so that's all right. So, all right. So we're testing out all this stuff. So we're screen sharing here. Make sure I got the right one. Okay. There you go. You can see that. So let's talk a little bit about, this COVID stuff. And so this is where I was saying, people are starting to break. Now this is in New York City where Blasio has put on new regulations about who can meet and what kind of people can be, what he put in restrictions per zip codes in New York City. Now, the crazy thing is that he overlooked areas that were hot spots in African American neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods and went right to Jewish neighborhoods. So there's a lot of outcry going on that he's being anti-Jew because of what he did. And you got a picture there on the screen of, or if you go to our show notes page, then you'll be able to see it there. But you'll see that there is people burning stuff in the middle of New York City, which is something. I mean, we've had crazy riots and stuff in New York City.
it's a
But
little campfire on a
yeah,
crosswalk.
but they're sitting there. Yeah, but they're burning their masks
Yeah.
because they're getting sick of this stuff. And let me tell you, what happens on the coast eventually gets to middle America. And this stuff, our major news media here, because I've been following it, and I know you have too, that over in Europe, people have been doing this stuff left and right, but we haven't really heard about it. And so it's starting to happen here in the US, and it's going to get worse. So if the hysteria, as I think, won't die down after the election, this is going to get real bad. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. So there's a real problem out there because people are getting fed up because the stats just don't correlate with what they're saying. And my big issue is they keep giving us cumulative totals on the infection rates. Now, most other diseases are tracked by hospitalizations and deaths. That's how they usually track the flu. They'll track outbreaks, but the final numbers are all about how many people died and how many people ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
But that is not what they're doing with COVID. You go anywhere, they're addressing how many people have been infected, but they never minus the number back out. So when you look at a number for your state, whatever it is, you are not looking at the current number of infections. You're looking at a cumulative total, usually from back in March. And it is not true. Look, so like in my area with Hennepin County and Ramsey County, which is St. Paul, and Hennepin is Minneapolis, you've got thousands of people there, but it's not the current status. It's the cumulative total of people that are sick there. And you have to dig deep into the health department pages for the states or for the CDC and find out that there's an 89% recovery rate all the time. And so at any given time, there's only 10 or 11% of the total number of people that are listed as infected are actually actively infected or can spread the disease.
Yeah.
And then when you go and look at the death rates, they're minimal. So even right now on most websites for like my area, they're saying for the state of Minnesota that right now we're at a little over 2,000 deaths from COVID since this whole pandemic started. But they're still predicting 4,000 deaths by January 1st. So, but the death rate is maintaining somewhere between 6 and 9 people a day for Minnesota. And even if you calculate all that out, maybe we'll have another 1,000 deaths by January 1st, but none of the math works out. So we really, and nobody's
And that's what
communicating
gets
well.
confusing. So in Iowa, just it's 97,000, so just shy of 100,000 people have been tested positive with COVID, right?
Mhm.
And then 1,400 people have died of COVID. I mean, just that's just such a very very odd amount, for locking down all the stuff we are. And I'm not saying that lockdowns aren't necessarily beneficial, but for like having an entire state locked down the way we have it,
Mhm.
dude, it's not.
Yeah, the death rate is 3 times what influenza is. But influenza is like 1 in 100,000 people die from influenza. And so COVID's 3 in 100,000. So yeah, it is 3 times more, but 3 in 100,000, do we really need to lock the economy down over that? I don't know. And no one on this side of it is going to be able to ascertain any of that. And who knows if Trump's reelected, the news media is going to skew all the data coming out of the government anyway. And if Biden's reelected, they're going to make the previous administration look terrible and try to make themselves look good, like they're some kind of saviors for all this. So I don't believe anything anymore.
Start injecting saline and stop counting the COVID.
Yeah, yeah,
Just say, hey, we're all good, guys.
it's just crazy. So the next story really troubled me when I saw this. So this is down in Louisiana, down in New Orleans, and there's a priest who was recorded having group sex on an altar of his church. And so
Phew.
this is with two dominatrix. One's a younger gal, and one's 24, and I believe the other one was 41. And he's a Roman Catholic priest. He hired these gals to come in. They're filming some sort of porno on the altar of this church. They were doing it late at night, and somebody came by and noticed lights on in the chapel. So they started looking in the windows to see what was going on, and then did some recording and shared that with the police. And so, of course, this guy's been removed. He's been relieved of duties temporarily while an investigation happens. But he, this is one of the gals that
What
was
the heck? She looks like a Looney Tunes.
down. She's, yeah. So she does look a little Looney Toony, doesn't she? She's got those weird eyebrows.
Yeah, and then top of her head's kind of,
Yeah, funky. Well, you
yeah.
got to wear a corset and stuff. So this is the other gal. She's younger. She's only like 23. So I'm wondering if she was learning how to do this. But anyway, the Catholic Church did send another priest down to reconsecrate the altar and those kind of things for the church. But what the heck is going on in people's minds that they would think that this is okay? Number one. And number two, how did you become a priest if this was even going to be part of your life?
Dude, I think this is totally normal now. I first off, I think this has been with a lot of people for a long time. But I think with the internet now, people are just able to get freaky and not think twice about it. They just look at it and like, well, I saw it online, so it can't be that weird.
Uh, well, they used to say that about books, right? The books I'd find in Dad's bottom dresser drawer.
Yeah.
But, yeah, holy cow, this is just to me, this is bonkers. I don't get it. Um, so now I do, as we're talking about the election, that there's a whole bunch of people that are expecting a meltdown after the election. So I know you in the back of your head are a little prepperish.
Yeah.
So, and you know what my kind of running joke with all of you and your brothers and sister, but the older I get, the less it's a running joke, is that when I retire, I'm going to buy a 6-acre compound someplace and build houses on it for everybody to come and live on it. And we'll build a berm around it and put guard towers in the corners.
Yeah, it was funny then. Now it's we're trying to figure out how to finance it and everything.
You're right. Figure out how to tap the well and get natural gas and stuff. So, but there's people that are like gearing up. People like there's one guy there in Denver. I bought an AK-47.
It's illegal.
Ammo is inexpensive, and I can still get it. That he's like and this is a lawyer in Denver that's ready to do this kind of stuff. And another guy of Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm not part of any group. Don't want to be a part of a group. I'm your regular guy who is watching the news and is getting really concerned. And yep. And I live in an area that after the George Floyd incident, all kinds of things were melting down. Yes, there was peaceful protests, but there was a whole bunch of people just burning things down just to be burning things down. And in a lot of major cities, this has happened. And so, um, I, I don't know. I hope that there's not. I hope it's a lot of hyperbole. I'm sure there's going to be some wackadoodles out there doing stuff, but
Well, I mean, look, the people I work with have said, supposedly there's supposed to be a huge like civil war that is just race war that's just waiting to bust through.
yeah.
And I was a personal believer that if Hillary won the last election, that
shape the future of AI. Now you can work more.
Hold on, I got an ad playing.
It's time to reimagine analytics.
Sorry.
yeah,
This is why it's a
sponsor. Yeah. Like when Hillary was running last and during the election, I was pretty confident that if she had won, that there was going to be a second civil war about it just because she's a crook. Now, looking back, I would have been like, you know what? I'd rather have her than this decision. I thought that decision was bad. This is even worse.
Well, you say that, but boy, I don't know. She was corrupt.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, I think most politicians are corrupt, and Joe Biden has his corruptness, I believe, but nowhere near what Hillary Clinton was like. So I don't know. So there's a little story. I'm trying to find another one that some reason there's this story. Let me pull it up here real quick. Over here. We're going to end with the girl that's really tall. So there's this male chastity gadget. Have you heard of this?
Male chastity gadget hack could lock users in. What?
Yeah. So this is a device that goes on your wedding tackle, and it's Bluetooth to your phone. So only your significant other has the means to unlock it. So through their phone, they can push a button and let it be unlocked to help, hold somebody accountable, I guess. It's also kind of a sex toy per se, but of course it's Chinese developed. But the problem is the API for it is open. So basically anybody can hack into this.
No blockchain.
What's that? No blockchain.
No blockchain.
Yeah. So anybody could hack into these and permanently lock them around your.
How does it lock? That's what I want to know. Looking at it, I'm like, I don't understand what it does to lock. It looks like it, I don't know if it must just go on your hoo-ha itself and not just the whole ball and chain.
I don't really say. There's like a metal bar in it that goes around your.
So maybe that's what it is it just goes on your hoo-ha and then clamps down.
Yeah, this isn't the one story had an interview. I'll look for that, put in the show notes too, but it had an interview that said, because I think it's this piece right here. This is a metal bar that your system goes through. I don't quite understand how it does it, but there's a metal bar there that goes around stuff. And basically, when that bar releases, then you can pull your junk out. But if
Okay. So it sets in there, and then you pull the dingle dudes down under the bar, and then the bar just kind of like closes a bit, so it doesn't crush the dudes, but it's enough that that's not coming off.
Right. And so,
Okay.
so like one of the articles I was reading about this said you would have to take an angle grinder or something to cut that bar to get this device off of the person if somebody got in there and hacked the Bluetooth. And I'm like, I don't want an angle grinder down there.
It doesn't even look comfortable. So I feel like if you were to have that, like, what would you do? Like, you couldn't walk around with that. It bruised your thighs.
Oh yeah, here, like, so owners might have been faced with the prospect of having to use a grinder or bolt cutter to free themselves from its metal clamp. Like, I don't want a bolt cutter down there either. You know,
I don't like that.
yeah, that's anyway. Yeah, I just wondered how the millennial felt about that kind of. Well, you're Gen Z, I guess.
I'm Gen Z.
You're
Thank
Gen
you.
How does Gen Z feel about the chastity belt that can get hacked on Bluetooth?
I don't like that, and like it in any aspect of that. I don't like it. I've never understood how like chastity things it worked back then. Nowadays, I guess now I do. I don't like them anymore, like any more than I did back then, and I didn't like them. So I'll just put this very plain and simple. I don't like them. I think they're bad, and don't buy it from China.
Don't buy, yeah, especially Huawei, right?
It's a 5G chastity belt.
Ooh, 5G chastity belt. Yeah. So
It'll not only lock them in, it'll fry them.
yeah. So we always try to end on a little positive note. And there's a Texas girl who's 17 who has broke the Guinness record for the world's longest legs. And
Poor human.
She actually looks like not real because she's so skinny, but she's 17 and 6 feet 10 inches tall. So
she's got like a 3 foot tall person's torso and then a just 4 foot long.
So
that's what it looks like. She's got like a 4 foot, I don't know, a 2 foot torso and then like 4 feet of.
Yeah, her legs are 4.5 feet long. So this one's 52 inches. Of course, 48 inches is 4 feet. So this is
of course, I knew that.
Yeah. So, but what's crazy is her legs are like one's a half inch longer than the other, which that'd be bad for your hips. So here's a picture of her standing with her mom. So, and then there's a couple TikTok videos of her walking, which that's really loud, isn't it?
Yeah, why don't you press that stop button?
So there's her. I don't know who this guy is, but it's her brother. Looks like.
Oh my gosh. She looks like she's having fun and everything, but dude, the amount of weight on those, you just gotta imagine it's gotta just her knees have to give out at some point.
Yeah, well, watch
the leverage.
This video, she's doing like a catwalk, and it looks so awkward. Now, part of it's probably the camera angle, but it just looks like her knees are gonna break. But it's cool that she's broken a world record. I guess the last record was some gal in the UK, I believe. Yeah. And she's only 17, so she's probably going to grow another inch or two.
Man, I've seen the stuff with what do you call it? The kids that are midgets or small people. I don't know what you call them now.
Dwarfs.
Small people. Dwarfs. Do you call them dwarfs? Is that I don't know what you call people anymore. Where they like had the surgeries where they break their bones in three places in their legs, space them apart so they grow back together, then break it again so they grow back together. So they get a little taller. What would you do for this? You just kind of break the bone, cut off a big section, put them back together. Got a lot of leftover muscle.
Yeah, that'd be I don't know. But there's been a lot of 7 foot tall people. But
she's 6'10". I mean, there's she's gonna be in like a 10 foot tall person.
Oh no, I imagine she'll stop growing, but she might end up like she might grow another 4 inches or something. That'd be, I mean, you would hope most of her growth is done by then. Although there is some people there's some disease where you don't stop growing, but your bones start to get wackadoodle at a certain point, and then your system kind of breaks down. So yeah. So I don't know. Who knows what's in it for her, but she needs to eat a little more something because she's too skinny.
Yeah.
But it might
Her knees are gonna give out.
right. Yeah. So this has been an interesting little test run. Here we go. You're also seeing a little bit how the sausage is made because we've always done stuff on the fly, and as we've tried to do this. So I always like doing it all together at once. So, I'm sitting here, I got one computer screen, two computer screens, my tablet, mixing board, digital audio converter, and all that. So hopefully this is...
I got a MacBook, a headset, and then a computer as a separate monitor.
Yeah, so we hopefully turned out. I'm a little, because the screen's all white, I'm a little white, so I got to figure...
Nah, you're all good. You're in Minnesota. That's normal.
Yeah, right. I'm supposed to be pasty.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for today. We'll be broadcasting from the basement again next week. I'm the old guy.
And I'm the Manchild.
Don't forget to cross this stream of consciousness with others as we've done with you. Until next week, don't fall up a down elevator.
And remember, if I don't make it back, it's because Biden took me somewhere. I don't know.
Gosh, he's smelling your hair.
Yeah, he's smelling my hair right now. Stop it, Joe. Stop.
All right, we'll see you all next time. God bless.
All right. Deuces.